Wait, oh shoot, I made this in front of the paywall. So let me fix that real quick. Um, give me a second. But today's slate, I feel like there's some oh shoot, there's some like yesterday was really crazy where there were just so many like good plays. Today, I don't feel like it's like that at all. Like there's some cheap guys, but overall like pretty tough to kind of fill a lineup out, at least on DraftKings, because there's just like no guys that are like 4K or less that we can have confidence in. And there's a lot of guys that are expensive that I really want, like Westbrook, Shea, Gilgeous-Alexander, Drummond. And then, I mean, there's a whole slew of guys. Wanted to bring up this boom bust tool because we got it with the optimal lineup percentages right now. And I just wanted to kind of explain how I would use these. So, if you look at the top optimal percentage guys, most of them are projected to be owned higher than their optimal lineup percentage. And I think that makes sense because really so Mike Muscala is a great example. He's 3,200. So let me pull up all the guys 3,500 and less. So like the thing with Muscala is for the money, you're getting an optimal play like so much more often than anyone else on this in the player pool. So really you're getting a lot more out of your 3,200 essentially, even though the ownership's way higher than the optimal lineup percentage. Like if you added all these up, like let's see, 40, 55, 60, like you're getting closer to like 80%. So of the whole player pool of guys under 3,500, like Mike Muscala is getting 26 out of 80% of that. So I mean, it's just like a situation where I feel like this leverage column, I just want to make sure people understand that like this doesn't necessarily mean Muscala is overowned, because you can really make it up with the rest of your lineup. So I'll show how I'm doing that here. This tool does make it pretty easy to build a lineup, especially like hand building. So I'm just looking at the top optimal guys. These are essentially the best plays of the day based on my projection and my projected standard deviation. So I'll just talk a little bit about the slate real quick. Muscala, Al Horford is out. He started a bunch of games in OKC when Noel was injured, so we kind of have some priors. He's pretty solid, not anything impressive. So, I mean, he's going to be out there. Their center depth is very weak in Oklahoma City, but Basley's kind of backing him up as well. Maybe kind of playing power forward / center. Then they have this guy, Isaiah Roby, who barely played for the Mavs on the team right now. So that's kind of their setup. 20 Rex, man. Appreciate you. All right. Westbrook, his stats have been way up in Washington, so I'm really bullish on him being better than a $9,700 player. Same with Shea, with no Chris Paul. Naz Reid subbing in for Karl-Anthony Towns, really good permanent player. Drummond with no Love. Dragic, no Jimmy Butler. Blake, his price just has gone down a ton. D'Angelo Russell with no Karl-Anthony Towns. Bam with no Butler. You can kind of see like the common trend is like all the top optimal plays are all kind of there because of some injury or another aside from Westbrook. So let me start building my lineup here. Muscala, I could take it or leave it. I mean, he's like the obvious value because 3,200, I mean, that really helps us get in these other guys. So if I, for some reason, really wanted some combo of guys, and I had money left over, then I wouldn't have to put in Muscala. But as close to as free square as we're getting. I don't mind playing Shea, Gilgeous-Alexander as well. Kind of like a tiny bit of correlation, because if this game is competitive like most are, then they should both see good minutes. Westbrook is just a guy, like I like him as a leverage play even, because I feel like maybe the market hasn't adjusted to his level of production that we can expect being on this new team without James Harden. So I'm just putting in 6 guys that I like, not necessarily leverage plays. And then we got Blake Griffin. He's just not a $6,900 player. I mean, his stats so far kind of mean that he should be exactly $6,900 maybe, but he has a long history of being a really high usage guy, and his rebounds have gone up in Detroit. That kind of confirmed a hypothesis that without Andre Drummond, he would rebound more. So using that as evidence for that. Morgan says, what do you think about Bazley getting center minutes today? I like it. It's not a guarantee he gets center minutes, but it does make sense with their roster, because that would allow them to get in more good players instead of Isaiah Roby. 5,800 isn't a fantastic price for him, but yeah, I think he could be solid. There's no guarantee Muscala starts either, but I feel like, let's see, how big is Darius Bazley? I don't think he's only 6'8", so maybe his center is a stretch. Okay, so I just don't have any confidence that the Thunder are going to actually play Isaiah Roby. So let me look at their payroll. I don't remember his contract at all. So 1.5 million. He's on a 3-year contract. So this is a guy they've committed to kind of developing. Let me look him up. So have some background. He's only 6'8". That's weird. Is he actually a center? It says he's a small forward. Let me look at this chart again. So I'm just looking who's on the team. I guess this Pokusevski guy. Let's see what. 7 feet. Okay, so I feel like he they list him as small forward, power forward, but maybe he's backing up Muscala. I feel like that he could be like a sneaky play with this in mind. 17th pick, so he played overseas last year, and yeah, I think I'll have to look into this more. Morgan says Roby's more of a 4. Gil says Muscala will be in foul trouble from guarding Vooch. I could see that. He's definitely not a lock, but the opportunity should be there. Do you like Dort, says Chase. He's kind of more intriguing on this team without Chris Paul, but not a huge advantage. And Gil says, how do you feel about Otto Porter? His minutes have been really inconsistent off the bench. I mean, a good player. I don't know why he's not getting the minutes, but Thaddeus Young coming back today does kind of make it seem even less likely he will get the minutes. All right, so I'm going to continue building this lineup. I kind of concluded that Pokusevski, I need to look up how this guy's name is pronounced because I have no clue. But he's 3,100, a really good leverage play off Muscala. I'll probably make a rule that I won't have both in the same lineup. But pending more research, he could see more minutes. He's already been in the rotation, so I feel pretty confident in that. All right, so I need 2 more guys that I feel good about. Naz Reid, that's solid. Goran Dragic, it doesn't really fit my position so far. So Russell with Noah Towns, he fits a spot I need to fill. And then I do need some value here. So Iguodala is someone I really don't feel like is a good fantasy player. So maybe I'll keep going. Alfred Payton with no Alec Burks. That's kind of interesting. I'm getting into the spot where I need some leverage plays here, so I'm going to pull this up. Juancho Hernangomez. I feel like he's sneaky because Naz Reid, if he's in foul trouble, like I feel like we could see Juancho play center more. And also, he started the second half last game. There was some report that Jake Layman will come off the bench today. So I expect Juancho to get the start. That would make him a pretty good play. Millsap, very unexciting player. Only 1% owned. But yeah, I only have him as a 10% chance of getting value plus 10. It's not very good. James Wiseman's kind of intriguing. I'm curious why no one's on him. But the opportunity should be pretty good. Coming back from COVID. Jaylen Brown, let's see. Slightly more, just about 5 points per dollar. That's why he's low owned. Thoughts on Sexton to get more usage with the injuries. I think with Love out, yeah, definitely. Okoro out probably doesn't move the needle. So I think he could be interesting. Alright, so I feel like I need to go to the Heat here for some value. Tyler Hero, pretty cheap for Butler being out. I'll have to go back and look at the rates with Butler out. Satoransky, 16% owned. Man, people are really gonna have to dig deep for value if he's that high owned. So I'm kind of not loving this lineup I've been putting together. I just feel like it's going to be like that tonight. So let's find the value plays I do like. Kawhi Leonard, super low owned, 1.6%, but he like takes so much salary that it's probably not even worth it. Michael Porter Jr., great flyer on any slate. Nerlens Noel is kind of a pivot off a popular Mitchell Robinson. Going up against Andre Drummond, I feel like... I guess Mitchell Robinson's not that popular. Scratch that. But Noel, I guess the upside is pretty big because they'll need a lot of size to go up against Drummond and McGee. I do need a really cheap player. I don't love that pick, but he is a positive leverage play that not many people will be on. And he's really, really cheap. So $5,600 left per player. I do need one more leverage play. Looks like Porter is kind of in that tier, but Otto Porter and Michael Porter, but maybe I can figure out a better option. Chris Paul, 7,100. Seems like a really cheap price. And, I mean, Phoenix, not that much different than, we saw him play in Houston with Harden, and he was fine in fantasy. So maybe I'll go with some Paul, but I don't have the roster spots, so I need a small forward. Let's filter this. Small forward. Jaylen Brown's kind of the leverage play. Or Grant. He's a super expensive, kind of a bad play. Or MPJ. I do like MPJ's talent. Maybe I'll just put him in there. Okay. Now I got 4,900. Yeah, I got a forward. So I can just type in F. 4,900. And then I can just find the best play. Oh, man, this one's really bad. So I'm looking at Dort or Jay Crowder, I guess. I just need to make some swaps here, I guess. So I do like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, but a cheaper option is Alf Payton. So that gives me 7,500 to work with. Oops. I got Blake's already in there. Jaylen Brown is one of my leverage plays today. So let's see. So contrarian ranking, not great. Value ranking, not great, but pretty good. So I'd say this lineup is kind of average. So let me think about how I can make some swaps to improve this. So it looks like Blake Griffin's actually pretty popular. And I like him, but I don't like him that much. Maybe I'll put in different power forward. He does fit this so nicely, though. Nance. Let's see. Oubre. Oubre is 10%, and let me see how Michael Porter Jr. affects this, because he's kind of that contrarian play. Oh, I already got him in here. Let me. Oops. So then I gotta look at Larry Nance. Slightly lower owned, still a good value. This is why Fantasy Crunch is really nice. Let's see. Detroit, Griffin. Okay. So hit me up if you have any questions in chat. Morgan says, how does your perception of chalk change in single entry in a slate like tonight? Do you just put in Muscala and ride with the field? I think that Muscala is, yeah, I mean, you can probably build a better lineup with Muscala than without him. I am finding it a little bit tough to put all the pieces together to begin with today, so having that freedom of salary with Muscala really makes a lot of sense. It looks like I'm kind of leading to getting this guy, Pokusevsky. That's probably not at all how he's pronounced. Alright, so that gave me the contrarian ranking. Now I need to find out how to spend the salary. So 7K, the best. Let's see what my options look like for 7K. Tobias Harris, yikes. Markkanen. Oh, I really don't like any of these guys. So maybe I'll have to flip Jaylen Brown again. Now I have plenty of salary to work with. Zion, being a great player. Maybe I could go with Zion. Or Siakam, nah. Too high priced. So if I put in Zion, I got 6,400 left. Nance fits like a glove. So now this line's super chalky, so I can't win. Let's anyway, you guys don't want to see me hand build all day, so let me just try to figure out real quick. So let me put Blake in here, 7,600. There's like no one in that range. That's crazy. Okay. So maybe, oh, I have this filtered. Okay, so now I see these guys, Fox or Russell. I got Russell already, so let's see how Fox. So now I have the projection real high, but contrarian value's not. So let me put in Jaylen Brown again. Man, I can't win. Alright. How are Muscala's numbers with Adams off the floor, says Chad. I don't really feel like they ever played at the same time last year. Could be wrong, but He's about a point a minute guy from what I remember. Put in Chetty. I don't know if he'll get the minutes. Do high contrarian lineups scare you tonight, or is it mostly contrarian for GPP? I'd say that they don't. They in NBA a high contrarian lineup might not be the best approach. I kind of do. I don't mind this range 20 to 30 contrarian and 70 to 80 value, because I feel like Troy does skew. NBA skews more towards value. Okay, back to your original. MBJ at power forward and Brown as small forward. And then fill your point. Okay, let me try that. Brown at small forward. Porter. And then let's see, Pukus. Okay, and 7K left. That gets me Jamal Murray, Tobias Harris, Colin Sexton. I guess Sexton without. Okay, so this one came pretty interesting. So this more contrarian, slightly lower projection. I'm kind of comparing this 276 to the optimal. So let me pull up Fantasy Cruncher. What maximum exposure would you have to someone on today's slate, says Ilya? I don't really worry too much about max exposure. I'm just trying to build the best lineups. Whoever ends up in them is in them, but if you want to limit variance, sometimes doing that by exposures, I mean, it's definitely not a bad idea. Okay, so I'm going to set the randomness to 35. That'll give me a good mix. Okay, let's see who pops in this. So I'll have Westbrook, out of Dragic. AI, man, like, I might have to go back to last year to see, like, if when he started, what kind of results did he get? There's no guarantee he's going to start. I mean, I might need to go back and revise this because I don't feel like AI is a great play. But we do really need some cheap guys to put in lineups today, and he is cheap. So let's get a good crunch going here. So to compare, the optimal is like 290 something, or at least this lineup's 293 projected. So I definitely wasn't approaching optimal. My highest projected one, 295. So let's see if I can build a lineup that's a little bit more optimized. That also I can figure out one that has a decent contrarian ranking. So let me sort by ownership. So I'll just go from lowest to highest and see, can I find any that are low owned that are projected for like 280 something. So this one, I don't want Nerlens Noel and Mitchell Robinson in the same lineup, so I'm going to create a group. Noel and Robinson. Can you break down how you use randomness differently on small versus big slate, says Aaron? I actually use the same randomness. I mean, obviously the results are different, but what I do is I will look at the standard deviation projection, compare that to the projection, and use that as a ratio. Then if you just do that for each player, you should get a decent randomness for each player. Elusive Smoke says, feel free to never hand build for us again. Want to use your favorite medium FC while you paint beautiful lineup for us. Well, thank you, Elusive Smoke. Steelers says Payton a better play for DK Cash than Hero because of increased minutes. think they're both really good plays. It's hard to pick between them. All right, the other group I didn't want was Poku, Alexi P, and Muscala. Okay. So let me build 500 more. Thoughts on complementary pieces: Wiggins, Oubre, Wiseman, and Golden State tonight. I think they're solid. I mean, Detroit sucks. And Oubre, I watched that first game. He looked like he was playing pretty well. I mean, he hasn't been shooting well. That's going to vary. It looks like they're playable tonight. The prices are good. We really need guys in that like 6K-ish range to be able to build lineups tonight. All right. Why did D'Lo only get 20 minutes last night? That is a great question. One that I don't feel like I have a great answer for. Let's see. I don't think he's been getting very many minutes to begin with this game. Wait, D'Lo. For some reason I was thinking D'Angelo Russell. I don't know why. Alright, D'Lo. For some reason it's not connecting for me. Oh, it is D'Angelo Russell. It just wasn't last night. Okay. So let's look at that. I mean, he played 9.5, 15.5, 16 first half minutes. So, I mean, usually the first half minutes are a bit more consistent. Can't remember which game he got late to shoot around or something. It might have been this one because he didn't start it. But 9.5, 15, 20 minutes in the second half. I mean, the minutes seem like they should be pretty solid. Okay. Ownership. Okay. So I added these groups that I didn't want the same players, and I recrunched. Okay, so this is one that's popping up. Let's see. Juan Hernan Gomez. No one's on him, so kind of feeling a little nervous. I'm really going off the fact that he started the second half here. Now this is going to be more of a factor if this game locks late, and it does. So, it's possible this is an error, I guess, but I mean, I can see why no one would be on him because he didn't play a ton of minutes here. In this game, Ed Davis played all the backup minutes for Naz Reid. Let's see, who are they playing today? Clippers. And the Clippers have Ibaka and Zubats. So they're pretty traditional bigs. So I don't feel great about it. But, I mean, 0.1% ownership. I have to take another look at him before I feel confident. Of course, I'm doing that throughout the day. Okay, so this one, Noel and Poku Sevs. Man, I feel just terrible for butchering this guy's name constantly. I'm just gonna X out. Maybe I'll just tweak Andre Iguodala's projection here a little bit because now that I've thought about it a little bit more, even though he started the second half after Jimmy Butler's injured, I don't really know if we can say for sure that he's going to start this game. If he does start, I feel like solid play, but not great. So definitely not worried about being underweight. It's just, man, it's like all these, not crunching by my projections, so I gotta do that. Okay. Alright, so that dropped him down a little bit. Pokushevsky says chance 0. Thank you. Alright. So I'm getting the guys that I like at a good rate. Some guys I'm not super high on, like Sato. I'm gonna go back and look at what's going on with his rotation. So he was used pretty heavily last year. New coach this year though. So he came in for Patrick Williams. That's a good sign because I don't feel like Patrick Williams is, someone that they're gonna feel like they have to give minutes. This game he came in for Kobe White, played, 5.5, 7, 12 first half minutes. Pretty solid. So the upside's there. It just kind of is relying on Patrick Williams to have a bad game or Kobe White. So I do feel like he's a decent play. Although the ownership is like ridiculously high for Sato at 3,500. Alright. I think this is just one of those days where you're going to have to get some value plays that you don't really like in your lineups. Okay, here we go. Hamidou Diallo. Another guy I don't really like, I would say. I don't know if I love the fact this lineup has all the contrarian guys at a cheap value price. So let's keep down on this list. Marvin Bagley is a contrarian play I like. This one's a lot more balanced. There's no Muscala. That should make our lineup a lot more unique. So let me plug this lineup in and see what kind of ratings we get. Oops, 470. Which was it? I totally screwed this up. Thought I knew the number that I could just search for. Alright. Well, remember Bagley. I think Bagley was in it. Let's see. Here we go. So I'll just make this one go above the others. Alright. Here we go. So I got Sato, Hero, Tatum. I feel like maybe he's not gonna. Wow, he's actually pretty popular today. That's surprising. Pokushevsky, Bam Adebayo, Russell, Bagley, Tragic. Man, like under 10% contrarian ranking. I can't win here. But I feel like I just leave off some of the more popular guys here, so I do feel confident in this lineup. I guess I'd have to bump up the randomness a lot to get some lineups that are lower in ownership. Or let me just set a maximum ownership. So it looks like this is the cheat code, so I'll show you guys how to do this. So 187 is a high ownership, so maybe I'll let's see if I start from lowest to highest. The lowest wasn't low enough, I guess. So maybe I'd set it to like, oh, you know what? I can set my data rule that says my projection has to be at least 287. And then I can just generate a ton of lineups with high randomness. And just sort by the ownership from lowest to highest. And this might take a little bit longer, but I should be able to get some lineups that fit in this range. Ilya says, you agree with the ownership Naz Reid 26 versus Mitchell Robinson 10%. I think, and part of it's the price. Naz Reid's a little bit cheaper, I think. Let me just verify that. Naz Reid is 5,100. Mitchell is 5,600. I feel like Mitchell Robinson's a much better player. So I guess Mitchell Robinson does stand out as someone that should be higher owned. Where Naz Reid, I don't see a tremendous advantage in ownership. Lisa Smoke says, do you have any good late swap ideas to force in guys that you like to adjust for post-light lock news? So what I would do is upload projections for the best scenario for both guys. So like Kawhi tonight is questionable. So I'd have Kawhi at 43, but I could crunch with Paul George at a higher number, Lou Will at a higher number. But I'll set a rule that I don't want these guys in the same lineup as Kawhi. Then when we get the news, I can just re-optimize my lineup for these 10 p.m. games, and I should have a decent chance. Alright, so let's look at what Fantasy Cruncher came up with here. So ownership from lowest to highest. We got the deeper dive in 7 minutes here. So I gotta jump off in a second, but looks like, oh, Jeff Teague, one of my favorite plays so far this season. So let's try this lineup, see if it gets us any. Let me just, yeah, okay. So Sato, Teague, Wiggins, Griffin, Vooch, Westbrook, Reed, Dragic. Man, under 10% contrarian ranking. Let me just set, maybe I can set it, my data says a max of projected ownership, max of 100. And then I'll turn off the randomness and just see what these lineups look like. Okay, there are none. Projected ownership, max of 110. Okay. 25. Okay, this is clearly not working quite like I anticipated. Oh, I didn't delete these. Let's see. Okay. So I'm determined to make a lineup that has a contrarian ranking that's higher than under 10% that I like. So minimum of 285. I'll compromise on that a little bit. Or let's say 284. And then the ownership max of 100. Okay, that one didn't work. Max of 110. Okay, I got a lineup. So let's see how this shakes out. Westbrook, Hamadou, 5% on, that's crazy. Porter, Griffin, Mitchell Robinson. He does seem really low on today, so I like that. Dragic, Pokashevsky, Andre. All right. Finally, I was able to at least get these numbers to add up to more than 100. So 25 plus 95, it's 120. So maybe I'm just not going far enough down in projection. So I hope this guy gave you guys some good ideas for how to build the lineups here. And make sure to jump over to the deeper dive and live before lock. Thanks for tuning in to the game plan. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow on this. Later.